Thank you, Senator Rankin. But I want to tell you that we've been working on this for quite some time now because we believe that the current system is flawed. And I'm somebody that's been dealing with Section 5 at the Justice Department for, well, ever since 1990, 92, when the first thing that happened, the first time that the Section 5 really kicked in South Carolina, we saw a whole bunch of safe seats for people of color. And we believe that that was a deal with the devil that's locked a permanent minority in, not just for black people, but for people that believe in democracy and equality. Those that truly believe in democracy and equality know that it can't just be for some. And so I'm speaking up for the people that believe that we need a government that represents the interest of the majority of us, and that's going to take equal justice. And so I recall having many discussions with the South Carolina desk of the Voting Rights Section of the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Justice Department, with them shaking their head and telling me, well, you know, it may look like it's racial gerrymandering, but actually it's political, and that's okay. And it's further wrong by the fact that South Carolina is the only state in the nation that doesn't have any laws or constitutional constraints governing the process that you're going through now. You make it up as you go along. And that those of us that have been watching this process for the last 40 years, we really feel that James Pettigrew may have been wrong when he said South Carolina was too large to be a lunatic asylum. Because when you keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, that's the definition of insanity. And so people are trying to get the best deal they can out of this currently poorly designed system. And since the League of Women Voters and the ACLU and Legal Defense Fund and all these other groups that I respect so much are doing what they can do to get the best deal this time, somebody needs to point out what could be and what should be. You will determine what will be, but I want you to be on record that we are working hard and have been for some time and will continue to do so to be able to have you support a constitutional amendment on a general election ballot to be able to give the authority to draw the lines to the citizens to get the legislature out of the business. Now, the only 4 states, sir?
Mr. Burson, I want to interrupt you, but this is not the forum for that pitch. I would submit to you, we've heard that.
You have not heard a pitch that relates to legislation that's filed before you, sir?
Well, respectfully, we have a number of times, and again, not to cut you off, but that is not a conversation that this subcommittee can advance.
This is a conversation that needs to be on the record, Senator Rankin. So, if you'll give me just a couple of minutes, I'll wrap it up.
Thank you.
Because I have not had the opportunity to present this, and I'm the one that's been working on this with Senator Fanning's a sponsor in the Senate, Cobb Hunter's a sponsor in the House. This is research that we've done for years that I would like the opportunity to share as you get ready to do this momentous occasion. May I proceed? Thank you, sir. So to give you an idea of the tide that you're swimming against, the 65% of the people of South Carolina that the University of South Carolina Institute for Public Service and Policy Research surveyed in 2017 for us indicated they would prefer the legislature not draw their own lines. And so this is a winning campaign issue. We're going to do what we can to get you to consider the opportunity to be heroes in the reconstruction of democracy in South Carolina, because you know better than anyone how frustrating it is to have the type of gridlock and the inability to be able to deal with the common needs of the people. And Senator Rankin, you were elected with 97% of the vote. And that the average winning margin in the last 4 elections has been 70%. And that means that 70% of the people, 70% of the incumbents right now have no opposition in the general, averaged over 4 election cycles. That means that 70% of the citizens like me in Richland County only had 1 name on the ballot. People are beginning to realize that looks like an old Soviet-style election and that this is really bad theater. And you have an opportunity to be heroes in understanding that the legislature should not make their own rules and draw their own lines and support legislation to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot, general election ballot, to see if the people want to draw their own lines. And that sums it up. And if there's a lot more information at fairmapssc.com. I really do want to get this on the record because, as I said, this is something that I think reflects the interest of the 65% of the people. It's 50, the report that I'm talking about, that the university does a graduate level thing. In the back, it shows all 46 counties. They did this extensive interview, and the results was that the majority of the Republican Party agrees that you shouldn't draw the lines. At some point, you're going to have to change. If you don't get in front of that, you're going to lose your seat. I did want to point out about the maps and how they were drawn. So this is, with the exception of apologies to Senator Sin, the maps were drawn by people that used all the criteria that Dr. Roof used, with two exceptions. One, these are drawn by an illustrator that didn't get them to us till last night. I apologize. And that Senator Sin's district, 41, and the current, should be yellow as competitive. And I would speak to Senator Harpootlian's district being one of the ones that's competitive this year. And the fact that they're competitive indicates Senator Harpootlian's predecessor, Senator Corson, he was a member of the Sierra Club and went to League of Women Voters. So what we're looking for is for you to win your race and have to represent people that don't look like you or necessarily think like you. It's called democracy. And so the map that you see on the top is the way it is now, given a 5% variation, winners winning by no more than 55%. And so that map below that is what it would look like if you did not consider communities of interest and took the citizens that were found in the 2020 census and reapportioned them by competition metric, including the other metrics that you can stay as close to as possible, whether it be contiguity and boundaries, precincts, etc. We did not include communities of interest because it would be phony to do that. There's no way that the communities know what interest is. The bill that we introduced for Citizens Redistricting Commission would have said commission doing educational work and involving the citizens in a much greater fashion than has ever happened since whenever we started doing this in 1990 census when it really kicked in. But the citizens, this is a mythical thing that happens once every 10 years, and like cicadas coming up from the ground after sleeping, they go, oh, it's gerrymandering time, let's fight it. But we're using the same system and the same tools to deal with it. The system is not right, sir, gentlemen and ladies. And so what we're doing is proposing to you what should be and giving you a methodology to do so. The 4 states that have taken the power of drawing lines away from the people that benefit from drawing the lines, those states had the constitutional right for citizens to take up petitions and put them on a ballot and vote on it. 27 states don't. We're one of those states. But if you read our fairmapssc.com methodology, we do have something you've all voted on, I'm sure, as a county bond issue for libraries or maybe for a penny tax or something, that the citizens in South Carolina in a county can circulate a petition and get 15% of the county's residents to sign that petition, which we have a constitutional amendment filed predicated on that before your body. But 15% of the citizens in your county, Senator Rankin, could then decide that, yes, we don't want you to draw your own lines. And see, if we took up those petitions in somebody's home district, we would surely get more of their own constituents than was able to vote for them, because so many people are winning in a primary with a major turnout of maybe 17% of the Republican Party, generally speaking, no more than 20% altogether. So that the numbers are bad for the incumbents. This may take a while, but this will happen as the people want to be able to have something that's more representative, that tries to get the things that we agree with, that we all need done, and then we'll argue over what we disagree with. I'll take any questions you may have.
Senator Marge Bryant.
And I will preface my question by first saying I haven't studied this long enough, the map that you've proposed. Is part of what I'm understanding you believe is that we need to make these Senate districts more competitive.
Yes, you heard Dr. Roof say that competition is the one thing that we can't mandate.
And I totally understand and get that. But in analyzing the current district boundaries and the proposed ones that you have here, it seems that there's not a, and maybe I need to look a little bit harder, it doesn't seem like it necessarily increases competition.
What the magic numbers, Senator Matthews, is in the competitive number of seats in the maps that we proposed, the bottom right-hand panel.
Yes.
The competitive seats move from 6 to 17, and your safe Democratic seats move from 11 to 4, so that adds up to 21. And that the number of Republican seats falls to 25. And so the Republicans are still in charge. There are more of them than there are others. But the fact is that it will make those districts that are competitive, the people that run, whether they're from a Democratic Party or Republican Party, are going to have to reach across the aisle and be able to have a base platform that appeals to the majority of voters in those competitive districts.
I get it now.
That's what we're seeking.
I was comparing the block on the top map versus the block on the
Yes, ma'am.
bottom map, and instead of just comparing just one.
Yes,
I got
ma'am.
it now.
And there's a rather in-depth tutorial at fairmapssc.com.
Tutorial. Okay. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Believe it or not, I'm going to look at it, though.
And Senator Rankin, any more questions? I want to leave you with one of the prevailing quotes of the day from George Washington's farewell address. He begged us not to start parties. He said, you'll end up with two that fight amongst themselves, I'm paraphrasing now, for money and power. And I'm hoping that we can get to a point where people get elected because of what they believe and what they stand for, how their constituents believe they're going to improve their lives.
With that, sir, I welcome you to pay attention to the calendar. Though you haven't said it, it has been said, but surely nowhere nearly as eloquently as you, and perhaps in your view nobody was listening. You'll get a chance to make that pitch about others' bills to create commissions, et cetera, hereafter. But again, respectfully, though you have not come before.
Thank you for your forbearance, Senator. I've seldom been put down with such politeness. You're a great master.
No intent, I promise. But my mother, if that's a compliment, I'm hoping she's listening.
We may be moving into your district.
Very good. Call me if you need me, 555-1212. You're old enough to remember that is the information line. So.